This Saturday is UFC 301 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. But before we get into that, I want to discuss if UFC 300 lived up to the hype or did it fail. Right off the bat, I think that UFC 300 lived up to the hype as a whole. From start to finish, there was champions, former champions, great fights, great finishes, great knockouts, great submissions. There was everything you wanted, veterans to from prospects to everything you could have asked for. UFC 300 fully delivered to me. But if we're being honest, it was billed as having an all-time main event, a main event that you wouldn't believe that was even possible of happening. And the reality is we didn't have a Conor at the top of the bill. We didn't have a Khabib return or a Brock Lesnar or a GSP. We didn't have an all-time great legend returning, but we did have one of, if not the best fighter in the UFC right now, a double champion in his own right, Alex Pereira, once again had another incredible victory. Knocked out Jamal Hill in the first round. Do give Jamal a lot of credit for coming back in just under a year after tearing his Achilles. Such a tough injury. I never thought he would have came back this quickly, but Alex Pereira continues to impress, continues to show and prove everybody that he's different. He's only 12 fights in to his career and less than that into his UFC career. Already has won 2 championships in 2 different UFC weight divisions. And now, after winning the light heavyweight championship a couple months ago against Yuri Prohashka, where he finished the former light heavyweight champion Jamal Hill and made it look pretty easy. That was just amazing. Zhang Wei Li also beat Yang Xiaonan in a really dominant performance to me. It did seem like she might have finished Yang Xiaonan in the first round. Xiaonan was said she didn't go out. It kept going. That was a 5-round fight. But the fight of the night, the best fight that I saw, and probably the fight of the year so far, if not the past couple years, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway for the BMF title, lived up to the hype and more. This was just a war. But Max Holloway had the record setting victory where he knocked Justin Gaethje out at the bell at the last second of the 5th round, and it was just violent. This was one of Max Holloway's best performances, and that says a lot because Max Holloway, as we know, is one of the greatest strikers, if not the greatest of all time. 181 significant strikes for him in that fight. And now he has a big question. Does he move down to 45 to try to recapture his featherweight championship against Ilya Topuria, or does he move up and try to knock down whoever wins the light heavyweight title between Dustin Poirier and Islam Makhachev in June? I think the biggest fight is against Islam if Islam beats Dustin, or a rematch with Dustin for that, but I think it's more likely that we're going to see him versus Ilya Topuria next. Either way, I think Max Holloway can beat, and I think he will beat Ilya Topuria if that's the next fight. He is that darn good. He is just unbelievable. His striking overall is on a different level than Ilya Topuria, but we'll get in that at a later date. Charles Oliveira lost a pretty one-sided affair to Arman Sarukian, who won by decision. And this was not a great fight. Arman just proved his dominance on the ground, continued to take him down each and every time. Took him down twice, but held him down for almost 9 minutes of that 15-minute fight. He should get a title shot in the near future, that's for sure. Bo Nickel, the rising star, the best young star in the UFC, that the best young new star, I would say. Just a dominant submission in the second round. Not as great as he would want, but it still was great. A couple more standouts from this great UFC 300 was Yuri Prohashka with a second round knockout after his legs getting taken out from under him by Alexander Rakic in the second round. He could get a title shot next. I think they should give it um I don't think they should. I think they should give it to Magomed Ankalaev first, and then Yuri gets another crack. But that was amazing. We saw Kayla Harrison with a dominant performance against Holly Holm, a second round submission. Aljamain Sterling had a great decision win, 30-27, dominated Calvin Kattar on the ground. Wasn't the best performance you've ever seen, but he got the job done. A couple other great knockouts. Diego Lopez, a real player at 145 pounds. He sure is going to be in that top 15. Going to get a big fight next. And Renato Moicano, Money Moicano, got more money. A standout win against Jalen Turner. Turner, very tall, but knocked him out in the second round. That was unbelievable. And the first fight of the night, as we're going back, Davison Figueiredo looks like he can be in line to step up to Sean O'Malley to get a title shot in the near future, as he finished Cody Garbrandt, submitted him in the second round. I thought Cody was going to be more competitive, but those were just a couple of them. Great card overall. All the praise to the UFC for putting on this card, because it lived up to the hype and more. One of the best cards that I have ever could remember, at least in the last 5 years. Was it the card that we hoped and dreamed for in the past couple years, when we wanted Conor, we wanted Izzy, we wanted maybe Khabib to return, and all these unlikely circumstances? No. But was it unbelievable and one of the best cards we'll ever see? Yes, it was that and plenty more. UFC 300 was phenomenal.